Awesome. So we're here with Audi and Sud. They're the guys we use for our VAs and our virtual assistants from DataPure. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the first podcast, actually. So this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting us. This is great, man. Just as FI, Adi's here all the way from India.
Very cool.
For this conversation.
Cool. We're in India.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a back. If you've heard about like Madhya Pradesh, it's a central part of India.
Okay.
So we based out at Indore. It's like a business capital of Madhya Pradesh.
Okay.
You see like there are a lot of businesses coming in there. So you can say a mini Bombay. So people are calling it as a mini Bombay of Madhya Pradesh.
Very cool, man. Yeah, so let's get to the background of you guys. Like, what got you guys into the whole virtual assistant aspect, and how did you guys build your company up and whatnot?
So let me give you a brief background what exactly DataPure is about and the kind of services we're offering. So there are three major verticals to DataPure. The first one is providing image labeling services to the machine learning companies. Then we do a lot of research work for the digital product companies here across the globe, actually it is for. And a major thing on which the focus is providing a VA services, offering VA services to a lot of resellers here, where the major pie comes from the e-com side of it. So these are the three verticals we here.
All right, so you talked about Indore. So why Indore? No, it's not a really very big a big city, right? It's more of a Phoenix-based city. So it's not the San Francisco's of India. So why about?
I think I'll have Sid to answer that.
Yeah, so I mean, Adi and I basically come back a long time ago. Like that's where hometown is from. Mm-hmm. So I've known Adi and his family for or we've known it for 4 generations now, right?
Okay.
So go a long time back. So I knew Adi as we were growing up, but we necessarily didn't we're best friends because I was living here, he was living in India. Mm-hmm. I decided to leave my job. He decided to leave his job. We happened to meet at the right time there and said, hey, let's start something.
Interesting.
So we actually focused in the town that we're from. It's kind of like the Phoenix of India, basically big enough town where we have a lot of talent, but there's not a ton of jobs out there, right?
Okay.
And so we saw a need for jobs, and then also we said, hey, the people to bring in are going to stick around for the long term. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be as much churn for our customers, and so that's kind of the reason we're actually based out of our hometown rather than some major city.
Yeah. So my job area was Mumbai and the metro side of it, and we both came to a common ground that giving back to the society. So we have to travel all the way to a different metro, and because we didn't have any options out there. And it may also interest you more than 50% of our workforce actually have sorry. So it may also interest you more than 50% of our workforce is of female employees.
Interesting.
Back in India, majority, I'll not say all of them, but majority of them, they don't go out to work in because people don't consider it safe. Okay, you are female, you stay back here. So we have created an opportunity for them. So we've close to 250 employees, more than 50% of them female. They're working with us almost 4 years now.
Wow.
And these things actually excites us because people who stays who are with us are like a family. Mm-hmm. So and that's what excites us to go and bring in more business and for these people out there.
Keep growing the team, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I found about you guys is the quality that you guys provide is it's on a different level than we've ever had from another VA before. We've tried probably about 20 VAs, probably about 15 to 20 VAs before, and they're good. They're good in the terms of what they can do, but they're not excellent, right? What you guys bring in is really excellent on another tier of quality. That's why we brought you guys in to help us out with our own stuff, just in general, and why you guys are here as well.
Actually, this comment I really appreciate. Thank you so much. I really owe it to my team back in India. Good job, guys. So because of you guys, you're sitting here having this conversation. So Sid and myself, we work a lot on the process side of it.
Okay.
The process is just not it's just developed over a year or so. Mm-hmm. So there's a continuous improvement that we've seen in, and it starts back from actually hiring that particular batch. It's not easy to get a good batch, but you always have to keep on improving. Mm-hmm. So there are stages to it. So
we go back to like good colleges. We have a proper recruitment process in place. There is a 3-step like recruitment which generally happens, and then we actually hire them. Then there is a one weeks of an induction program. During that induction program, we allow them to actually ask as many questions about DataPure and the type of work we've been doing in, and that's how we assign them like on the 3 vertical where this particular fits in the best. Because we believe in a bottle and a cap philosophy. The bottle and cap has to tightly get enclosed so that the water don't leaks out.
Yep.
So, and then there is like so especially like dealing in your case talking about the e-com or even talking about like insurance domain, then we bring in like subject matter experts who come and give them training is specific on that domain. So whenever we are doing a research on a specific field, it needs some subject matter experts guidance, so that our team actually follows those directions and then starts delivering you in on those lines.
Very cool. So let's talk about like you kind of hit on top of it. Who do you guys? What's some of your biggest players that you guys work with right now in terms of like brands in the United States that I know our customers will definitely notice?
So one of the interesting thing is we can't really talk too many about the customer names.
Okay.
But in general, like the way we got started was we tend to work with large corporations.
Okay.
And provide data annotation services and image annotation services for them. So what that really kind of means is like a company that's doing autonomous vehicle work. What they need is a lot of people to come in and actually tell a computer that like, hey, in this image, there's a car here, there's a person here. And you do it like hundreds of thousands, even millions of times, but you have to do it very accurately, right?
Okay. Yep.
And so what our workforce started off from was like doing work with these types of companies and actually providing them with people to label the data. The simple math, like a lot more expensive to label the data here versus in India. So that's where we came in. So our customers tend to be large startups that are like well-funded startups, corporations, and then from there, what we started looking at is like, hey, here we're providing this type of service. Where else can the market be?
Yep.
And so now, what we've been doing, especially we started with you, was providing VA services, which has been awesome because, honestly, our team likes this a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Looking at images is great, but looking at different products online every day, that's a lot more fun also. Right?
Definitely. And there's always that variable too that we kind of provide, and it's kind of their own. They can kind of track their own progress. Maybe better than the image clicking, right?
Yeah, I mean, like when you're looking at products, right, it's fairly easy to say like, hey, I got like, as an example, another customer just like you were talking to now, he's got 100 products he buys every day.
Yep.
We can go through and say, hey, you know what, like these products, like we found one similar to it, and then, oh, by the way, we found this new one that you might like, right?
Yep.
And then so our VAs are like, oh, this is interesting, I'm learning about this whole different world, but at the same time, there's room for like exploration, and so that's what they enjoy the most.
Very cool. And then like the growth of e-com in general, do you guys are going to focus more on this, or are you going to still do that 3-tail vertical, or what about that?
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, the wave of basically e-com has given a new era to a business line where you see. So in our words, actually, your shop is 24/7 open, right? Yep. When you're sleeping, also there is a shop which is open that customer can buy in, and when you get up and you see, okay, there are orders there, and it's very. And it's very easy with the ease of actually ordering in system, comparing. I think that's what the big leg in terms of like e-com is. But now what we also focus with this, like with a lot of players coming into this system, we see that there is a lot of unstructured processes which are in place.
100%.
So where we wanted to bring in value in this ecosystem, as in how we can actually help you minimize your time in doing a research on certain things where you should be spending more time in buying and selling, and in investing your time in revenue generation. Yep, right. It's not like you're going a lot of doing in operation stuff and the so when you scale your 1 to 10 scale on your time scale, you see like most of the people are 60% time is just going in identifying, okay, this product or that product, and then you end up like, oh, I was heading on the wrong direction, let me start from the new. And it actually irritates them the most. Whereas you get like, okay, these are the 10 products, now you take a call and you've done with that particular thing. So that's what like we're trying to bring in this thing. And e-com is like the next wave. We also want to ride on that thing, and like thanks to you guys of actually bringing in these helping us on figuring out what kind of process that we need to improve upon and stuff like that.
Very cool.
I mean, so like, but interestingly, like what we've seen is like image annotation for us will always be a core part of business.
Oh,
Right? We're
100%.
gonna keep growing it, keep growing it, right? What we've seen is like this other line of business, which is nobody's really doing like VAs for e-commerce and resellers now.
Yep.
And reselling has become one of the biggest markets. I think you were saying like it was actually that second biggest gig economy.
Yeah, and I actually heard that from Chris, right? So Daily Refinements, shout out to you, man. He said that reselling is the second biggest gig economy, like you just said, across the board, other than Uber and driving for Uber and Lyft, right?
Uber and Lyft,
Yeah.
And this is only going to keep getting bigger, in our personal opinion, because of everybody now is the business, right? So we're getting rid of the middleman in between. There's no the pawn shops are going to be gone in terms of like eBay. That's what eBay came in to do that, right? For us, like it's that middleman selling your own personal items is going to be gone in the future. That's why if we can help that the customer that is the seller, it's only going to continue getting bigger and bigger and bigger because everybody has stuff.
Yeah,
right.
And so for us, it's the answer is simple, right? We want to ride that wave,
Oh,
right? We
100%.
want. So I mean, for us, it's going to keep on growing, and also we've found like our customers are seeing a lot of value in it, right? Which is very exciting. I mean, like it's crazy. Like people are like, "Oh, can you do this, do this, do this?" And I'm like, "No, like let's
do one thing.
Yeah, I mean, one thing at a time, right? I want to not just turn the faucet on all the way. I'm going to do it slowly right now,
Yeah.
but eventually we'll get to a point where we'll just turn it on all the way.
100%.
And like when you talk about like country like India, so there we've already seen like almost a decade of the e-com thing happening in with the youngsters like are going into like Amazon, Flipkart, and eBay kind of stuff. So the resource who actually works on, they know this particular field very well.
Yep.
So it's not like it's something rocket science, like people are actually working on some domain which they are actually clueless about. What are we supposed to do? So people are actually go-getter in terms of when you talk about this e-com thing, and it actually excites them like they're doing a shopping for themselves. Okay, this is the kind of thing. Yeah, you know, like that way, it also helps us in actually making their interest daily on things. So they're hunting for one product today. They might be looking at some other product, and it's like so one of my actually employees, then we quoted like, "Sir, it seems like I'm in US and doing a shopping out here and sitting down in India." and sometimes it become hard also. Like they want, "Sir, I want this product now. How can I get it? You can't ship it back there." so this is the pretty exciting part of this overall journey. So it's not monotonous first of all. So it keeps our it keeps our interest very high. And when you have your interest actually putting in back in the work, so it gives you like maximum returns out there.
Yeah, 100% makes it easier. Block that call. Call me on TikTok. So like, we talked about like how you guys have your quality, right? I know personally we've used Fiverr, we use Upwork, we use a bunch of these other companies. Like, what differentiates you guys, and how are you trying to break into that market, if not just like the VA market more into the United States?
Yeah. So I think kind of I'll say something, then I'll add a little more on top. But it's basically like the problem is with Fiverr and Upwork, you're trying to find the right person, and you may or may not find the right person, right? Yep. What we've done is, because what we do is we say, hey, we're going to go to all these colleges, and we're going to recruit, interview, train, and then bring people on and interact with the customer, right? So what happens is by the time somebody from our team actually ends up working with somebody like you, they've already been through a few weeks of training, and they've had an interview process up front. We've vetted them thoroughly. So now that randomness of like finding the right person is taken out of the equation, right? Yep. And then we always, when we start off before a customer, right, by the time a VA actually starts working with you, they've already been working with the SME in our office for a while. And then and when they first start working with you, we have checks and balances in place to make sure that like what they're doing is value for your time, right? Yep. And so, or value for your money in this case. So basically, from that standpoint, it's almost like Uber, right? You know, like you don't care like who the driver is. The driver comes, takes you, drops you off. Yep. And that's what we want to do for the resellers and the VA.
Exactly. So like another important aspect, like just adding what Sid is mentioned, our next level to it is basically feedback mechanism, and there is always a touch point whom you know whom to contact. Like okay, so there is one responsible Spock who will come on a call, who will understand the requirement. You know, it's not like always the first time we go right, but it's always a feedback process. So once you do that, and from the second time we definitely hit the bullseye, right? Yep. Because you know we understanding the customer expectations, you can't just document it like the way you've actually helped us understand the overall process, but then our guys actually made sure sure that we follow each one of them thoroughly in this way. So what a differentiation what we are bringing onto the table is that we are not a crowdsourcing platform, that we don't go and pick up people, okay, we have a task, will you complete that, and we deliver it to you. So our major responsibility is towards the customer who has actually trusted us. So you always say, as a Data Pure, we have two important things. That is the first, the customer trust, who has trusted us and given his valuable time. See, money is the secondary thing. The time will never come back. So that's the time he has invested, and showing that trust factor on Data Pure, that okay, these guys will get me to the next level. So that always drives us, and make sure that we deliver that value to the customer. So, and that's what, so the subject matter experts, the training, the feedback calls, whom to call, whom to talk to. So all these things actually help you in getting what exactly you're looking at. So at the same time, it's a similar kind of thing, like you're just talking to your admin assistant out there and saying, hey Tim, is the work done? And over Slack, we'll just reply back, yeah, just 5 minutes, and that's on your table.
Yeah.
So that's what our real-time thing we've been bringing in. Yeah, and when I talk about Slack, so these are the communication channels we've been using in to like bring in like more transparency and a more real-time conversation with our customers.
We've also been using Zoom too. That's super helpful.
That's one of the perfect example of, actually, it's like sitting down. It's like I'm having a Zoom meeting right now with you as well. It's always like, that touch.
Faces before, right? You had seen each other's faces before, right?
And
it makes it more real. Get to know the person, they get to know you. It makes it cool.
I think you guys hit it perfectly, that using Fiverr and those other ones, it's the quality and the time it takes to do all the training, like follow up and guesswork on the person. Is it good? Like, is their ratings good? Is it going to be a consistent product over and over and over? I think that now, especially during the market's starting to get more mature, right? Just in the overall market, that's more about the product than it is the quickness of Fiverr and the service, right? It's the product that's the most important part, which you guys definitely bring in all the time.
So Ty, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You've been using our services for a while now, right? Just talk about your experience, I guess, how that's been for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll do like what we did before, and then what we do with you guys now, right? Before we went into Upwork, right? Looking for somebody that hit our criteria, whatever it may be, and then we try to vet them through their rating, and then we'd give them a shot. Probably 3 times out of 4, they wouldn't work at all. So we had to go back to the drawing board and do it again. And even that's like, there was never as good as quality as we kind of expected, except if we paid like a US person that tossed us about like $18 an hour, between 15 and $18 an hour. That's one time we got really, really good processes. Compared to that, like now with you guys, we had 1 or 2 calls getting the basics down, right? We kind of gave you the instructions, and then you guys hit the first milestone really well, crushing it out easily. And then we started moving up to like the more complex tasks, just because like it gets easier and easier, and our time becomes more saved with you guys. So that becomes the biggest benefit across the board. And now we can scale even bigger, right? For us personally, it's now we have 250 people at our back. So if we need help, we can always give you guys a call and be like, okay, there's admin stuff, there's buying stuff, there's cross-listing, there's all these different tasks that take up a lot of time and that slow down the scale. So that's why we've really blown up our processes and our systems to really be able to scale from what we were doing before, just eBay based, to now we're doing 5 to 10x multiple than we were just a few months ago. So with you guys, it was one of the biggest transformations by far.
That's great to hear. And I think from our side, what we've had learned also is the different systems we can offer in terms of or processes we can offer, right? So I think now the process we're trying to really get down with customers is basically let's do a quick intro call with our VA. After that, give us the list of products that you currently buy, right, and sell. And then our VA will take over from that point on. And what they'll start doing is basically start giving you that list of products every single day. Like, hey, you buy this mug, we're going to find that mug every day for you and send it to you. And then you can basically just like click a button, buy it, and sell it, right? And so that, like on our side, we've started streamlining that process. And then we start adding things like communicating with our agents over Slack, WhatsApp, even like being able to jump on a Zoom call with them, like you said, right? And so what it does is like if you don't really need to worry about like over email, who's this person? Like it's hard to get across a lot of things. But if you just pick up a phone and call them, that becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, no, definitely. It saves a lot of time across the board.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, honestly, for us, it's like the more streamlined the process is, the more likely you're going to make money faster, and at the same time, you save a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, save time and money compared to
Yeah,
anything else,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
It's a double deal with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Save time and money.
That's all that matters for us, right?
Buy more shoes.
Yeah, buy more shoes. Yeah. Also, like, let's go with this. So let's talk about the few things that we're working on together, as in the two processes, right? Do we want to talk about the buying process and then the cross listing area aspect, or we can kind of go through that? The two things that we were going to be releasing very, very soon to the mass public. Obviously, we've done beta things. A few of you guys have joined that beta. It was very, very limited release, but I know there are a lot of people asking for it, even though we told everybody not to tell anybody. I told you guys not to tell anybody. We still got some people hitting this up, which is good. And I'm not worrying about that. But yeah, let's go with that. Like, well, what do you think? What do you think the next steps are between this and how we're gonna blow this up, just in general?
So I mean, generally, there's a lot of different steps out there, right? Like, we can do a bunch of different things. But what I like to do is start with a few things first, just really knock it out of the park, right?
Yep.
You said cross-listing. We love cross-listing because it's a very time-consuming thing, and a lot of people don't cross-list because of that.
Yep.
But they could sell a lot more product if they did cross-list.
Yes.
So what we can do for people is right now, you go list your product in one location, or even if you don't list it, just like give us the information, and then we'll go produce that listing, cross-list it in 5 different sources or wherever else you may want to sell. And then once it sells, we can also actually delist it for you.
Yep.
Right.
Which
is powerful, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's like, look, if you like, I right now see people just posting on eBay, right? What if you do eBay, Poshmark, a bunch of other places? Then all of a sudden, like the amount of product you can actually sell becomes a lot more.
Yeah, because then the audience becomes a lot bigger, right? You're using all these audience bases to really scale up across the board.
And by the time actually the Data Pure team is actually looking at those research part for you, you can invest your time in actually looking what next for you.
Yep.
Then probably you get time yourself for figure out like, yes, this is the next thing which we want to ride on in, and by the time you finish off and your product listing is already done from your side, so the time we have actually minimized the time for some of the customers, like almost by 60%. So I think that's like a big thing. We still get on the revenue numbers for you guys, but yeah. So like in terms of like time, they're super happy because they're telling us like, now I can actually focus on more on terms of how do I make it like more profitable, rather than, so business is all about how do you make more profit, and how do you generate, like how do you keep yourself ahead of the competition is major. So if your time actually goes on listing on these products, then probably the other person can take on the ride and he can be far better on that thing. So these are the things actually the business owners can actually look on it. So yeah, so that's what our key focus would be, as to actually get on like maximum of their operations off from their shoulders, so that they can basically focus on their core business.
100%.
Yeah. I was going to say, so the other thing you asked was, so cross-listing is one, it's definitely a focus for us, because that's where we see a lot of people just either not doing it or spending a lot of time doing it, not growing that business. Right? Yeah. And then the second piece what you asked about was finding products, right? So I think on there we have like a 2-stage process where we say, hey, what are you currently buying today? What are you selling today? Let us just help you find those, right? A lot of people, they'll have like 50 products that they like to buy, but they won't search for those every day, and they'll miss out on the products, right? So it's like, look, I only searched for 20 of these today, but the other 30 could have made me money. So when we take over, what we do is we say, look, we're going to search for all these 50 products every single day for you. And then what that allows us to do is really understand you as a person and what you like to buy and sell. And once we have that understanding, we'll go to this side and say, hey, we're going to start finding new similar products, right? So let's say you buy shoes as an example, right? We'll help you find other brands and other similar types of shoes that like fit your criteria. And that way you can really scale your business beyond just the first set of products that you're searching for.
Definitely, and then that feedback loop becomes even more powerful.
Yep.
The more products you find, then the more products you continuously buy, and then you just go in that cycle where you just buy a lot of products, right?
It's just a continuous cycle that keeps on increasing.
Yep, 100%. That's what we started doing. That's what I guess where we've been helping your guys like learn even better, right? On top of it, it's because the more products you have in that list, the more money you can just generate and shove down, like eBay, Amazon, or whatever platform you guys are using is like shove it down their throat as much as you can, right? Because the more you can put into that, more you can get up using either more you can find and bring in, and the more you can list, the more money you're going to be able to make. Like Audi said, is just streamline those processes as best as you can. I know there's a lot of stuff out there, guys, that it's just the lack of knowledge on like what to do is the biggest part, and then the lack of time is another big one.
So what's funny is about working with you, right? We got to learn all your knowledge. So we learned here's exactly how Ty grows his business and how he does stuff, right? And then now we just train our VAs on it. Our VAs are now helping other people. So basically they're copying your process and giving it to other people, which is great for them as well for us, because we have like a great process to copy now from.
Thank you. We're trying, right?
And one thing I would really like to appreciate from your side of it, the way we have actually documented your process has also helped us minimize in terms of time in terms of training our resources. Most of the time we see people come to us that we want to get this done, but then there is no documentation that there is in place, and so that we also don't know like which path to follow. We try to figure out, but again there is a lot of time actually which goes in, and then both of us like things like the other person and we that there's a lot of like time which has been gone waste. So this documentation part I really appreciate from you. Thank you so much for that.
Shout out
so my team
So what we've done now is taking that documentation and just basically replicating it for other people, right? So now all somebody has to do is come in and say, hey, here's access to our eBay, Amazon, and then we have the documents and processing in place. Just like boom, here you go, we're up and running, right? So make it very like cookie cutter for somebody to get up and running, which is literally just like jump on a phone call, give us access, ready to go, right?
And then it starts scaling really
quick.
quick.
Yeah. So you don't have to even worry about like, hey, what's my process stuff? Like it's all the same at the end of the day for us, because what we do is we understand you as a person, what you buy and sell, and we just figured that piece out is like get to know you really well and how to sell your products.
100%. And then on top of that, it's even interesting as well. Like, what are you guys going to do? What's the game plan to make that that teaching aspect even easier for like customers?
I mean, I think over time we got to do more of these, right? More of these podcasts,
100%,
right? Train
100%.
people, teach people, because what I've seen is as we start interacting with people, they come in and say, hey, like, oh, we want to sell products. I was like, what do you sell? They're like, oh, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So what we do is we go in and like look at all the things you've sold over the last few months and start saying like, okay, this was an outlier. This doesn't really like, you don't really sell this that often. But here's the stuff you've been like your money or like your bread and butter, right? So this is what you've been selling. And so I think over time we want to start teaching people stuff like this, so they know like what really makes them money, and then how they can actually grow their business. Which for us is also helpful, because then we can start providing those VAs like just certain tasks to do for the customers.
100%.
Just like adding on what Sid was mentioning about the overall process and stuff like that, we would like to actually hear from the customers as well. What is their pain area? Where exactly they are struggling. So just drop us a one-liner, and we'll help you understand where exactly we can help you in terms of that. Because most of the people either don't know the problem actually exists, but now where the solution is. So you can always write back to us, and then we can just help you in figuring out your process in terms of the documentation thing, or in terms of like laying down some certain set of documents for you. So all these things, like we can definitely be happy to go with our industry experience, with the team back there and the VAs which has been supporting on the different business line. So that's all, like we can definitely go ahead. So it's always like a win-win situation. So you help me and I help you that way. So there's a business problem which probably I might not be the best, and probably you the best in the industry. You can help me in understanding. So if I've got like a big e-com portal to be developed, I can always come back to like that. Okay, I need your help in that, and you help me fixing that particular business problem, and we help you in that way. So it's always like we grow together.
100%.
That's what we believe, like that way.
When you go together, then you can scale. You can become a lot bigger and even better at astronomical rate.
Because the thought process is that you know that there's somebody to rely on. Okay, if this type of work comes in, okay, I'm actually the contingency plan is always there, is back in my mind. If this type of work comes in, I don't have to get surprised or stuff like that. There is somebody to take care of it. Or there is like, if there is a lot of VA, because if you explode like and you need like, okay, I need like 50 VAs now, I'm surprised. Then like there is a data pure team actually whom you can rely. You give us like a week's time or a 10 days time, and then we're good to go. Like. So there's no investment in terms of like setting up a system here. There's no setting of infrastructure, getting in terms of a rental space, when people will come in, when people will go, log in, log out, looking at their productivity. All these things have been taken care of by us, and that's how we try to we help you actually focusing on your core business. and we try to see like how you basically grow from $1 million to $1 billion.
Yeah. Even on top of that, that's a really interesting point you had, is in like even like the time tracking and all that stuff. Like having a VA and Fiverr and Upwork, you worry about it, like, are they actually doing this? Like, do I want to spend? Because if they're working 8 hours, do I want to spend 8 hours of my time going back through all of that? No. I do not want to do that.
Exactly.
Not the slightest.
Yeah, we're like, at this point we do all that, right? Like Adi said, but what happened was when we started working with our corporate customers, right? We automatically had to put these systems in place, right? Because we were working at the heavy scale with these customers, and you have to be very careful of like, if we're saying we're gonna get this done, we have to get it done. Right? And honestly, like at the end of the day, doing good business helps us grow faster, right? When our customers are happy, we get more customers. And so all this stuff is in place where you don't literally, like, if you hire, let's say I've used Upwork in the past, and if you hire somebody off Upwork, the problem is you have to track every single thing, you have to train them, right? And just make sure, like, are you getting actually like what you're paying for? Versus here, all that stuff's taken care of. It's just like boom, like phone call, my products done.
And there is always there is a touch kind of a thing. I won't say these all the crowdsourcing platform are bad. It's just like the priority. Probably a bigger customer pops in, then they will tend to deprioritize you. So probably with us, we tend to actually keep everything in place. We treat all of the customer at the same level. Even if you want like one VA, vis-a-vis like there are 10 VAs. Because what we believe, this 10 VA would actually go to like 11. But what we tend to get this, that how we can actually grow this one VA to a team of 10, 15, 20, because there is the potential where these people actually legs in, is they don't tend to they underestimate the potential of a startup. Because at some point of time we were also a startup. We've just started like with holding at the right point, right stage. Then probably they'll the engagement will keeps on bringing. So I think that's always a matter of prioritizing and deprioritizing. So that's what we believe in. We might be like, sometime we do get like in a discussion, okay, this customer is paying us this, but this customer is paying that. Do we want to? But then no, let's treat them equally. Let's give them equal service, because if we tend to give them like one thing, then probably he'll flourish in business, and that's how we flourish. It doesn't mean that we don't take care of the other customer, but we tend to prioritize everybody at an equal stage, and that's how we think that we are trying to be a little bit different from the other crowdsourcing platform. Because most of them, they don't know, they don't even know actually who the other guys is working on. Then they always have that system dependency. Okay, I'll log in that Upwork. Then basically that person has to log in, and here we just a call away. Like you can just like we create those communication channel in such a way that you see that the other person is actually sitting down in your office and you're working in that way.
I was so surprised. Like, y'all actually set up times to call that no other VAs done that. Like, I will call you at this time. Like, hell yeah! Like, thank you. Like, I don't have to deal with that on the back end. Like I don't want to do it at all. But I remember Sid had a presentation he sent to me a while back. It's like y'all are creating a black box, right? Like you put in the instructions of what you need, stuff gets done. I don't know how it gets done, but then the perfect output comes out, right? You input, black box happens, and then output happens. I think that was a great example on just the VA potential in general, right?
Yeah. No, I mean what we want our customer to do is just be like, this needs to get done. And we do some stuff magic here, and then it gets done, right? I mean, it's like, when you go to like a mechanic, you don't really care to like dude, exactly how are you fixing my car? Like I want to learn all this. No, you just care like, look, here's my car, fix it, gets done, you get the car back, done, get out of here, right? That's what we want to do.
Very cool, guys. One thing that is interesting to a lot of our users is like where we're flipping on, right? And like where we're buying products from. I know we've been in conversations before of like, now it's not just we're buying on eBay, we're trying to buy across all platforms, right? Which a VA can now help even more, and then start getting even better product. Because on our end, we know we personally are the largest eBay to Amazon flippers across the board, right? But we're seeing more competition coming in, which rising up the prices on terms of that. But now going in, we have a couple people like shout out Zach that flips on Mercari. Mercari is a great platform for that, and having a VA go between platforms and not having to worry about going between platforms is super helpful in that. And there's so many more opportunities there that it's just this opportunity thing is massive, which we've seen. Like there's so much growth here. across the board.
Yeah, I think Chris was the one that told me as well that like there's like 7 million sellers on Poshmark.
Yeah.
Like, which is an insane number, right?
Yeah,
Like, and so you know, just as an example, like for us, we don't care what platform you buy or sell on.
Yep.
Our goal is to understand what's a good product for you to buy and what's a good product for you to sell, right?
Yep.
And that's what we care about, right? So yeah, our VAs across platform, like if you buy on eBay, they can search 7 different platforms for you, find you the same type of products, same brands, different brands, you know, they can do all that for you, right? It's literally like a team of people that, like, you know, let's say you had a little brother or sister that was just going to do everything for you for, like, you know, this is it.
I like that. Another thing that was interesting that Adi talked about is like when you help somebody grow, then you grow as a business or a person, whatever that may be. That's kind of the different mindset that kind of hit me like the last like this year. Is before we're in like the hustle of trying to get your next cash, but really it's a business is all about creating the best value for people, and then they'll keep coming back over and over and over, and then everybody grows. Which is just, I know a lot of people on like a lot of resellers. I know I was reseller. Is that the mindset I was in? Is like I need to make as much money as I possibly can and no worries about anything else. But that's different. Once you shift that, it becomes a different game and a different ball game you're playing in.
You know, for us, for a business to success or become a successful business, you need to actually start fixing on certain aspects. So when you look at like your VA thing is being fixed, then you can start focusing on the other verticals.
Yep.
So that's why we try to actually bring in that particular value, because you know, if you're still struggling 1 year, 2 year down the line in figuring out, okay, this is, so on a crowdsourcing platform, what happens is that you put a bid, but the other person who has actually worked on your thing might have gone.
Yep.
Okay, now the other person who is taken care of, now you have to always start from 0, 1, 2, 3, because you might not get that value. But whereas in our case, like there's a person who stays with us, like, and you know, I was talking about the our iteration rate is less than 5%. Can you imagine, like people like we have the loyalty factor of like 4. It's not like I would say we are the best paymasters, or I would not say like, but you know, the kind of comfort or the kind of actually job we'll be doing and the kind of satisfaction the people gets in to work at DataPure is enormous. Like, and I don't want to actually speak about that. I think like my guys can give you the best about that. Yeah. But again, coming back to that point, so like, you know, and whenever you have a second batch, now you see, okay, the first VA is successful. Now you've got a boom in your business, and now you see that, okay, I need like 3 more VAs. Now when you go back on Upwork, now the ABCD always starts from again back to 0. Yep. Like you have to 0, 1, 2, 3, and now at the time now when you want to actually scale, you are figuring out like, okay, how do I train this particular VA, this VA. Whereas we take up that responsibility because the person has already understood the process. Now we don't tend to move that particular person, you know, because he's already understood the process and he can always ramp up a team. So there is just one spot for you whom you start coordinating, and that's how we grow this.
Interesting. That is really interesting, actually.
So it's you know, it's interesting because like we talk about less than 5% iteration, right? What happens is, let's say you know, you're doing a business, right? Over time, you start providing so much value in that position. You say like, hey, I want a higher compensation, or whatever, right? In other companies, what happens is they'll just say, no, you need to keep doing this. Whereas with our VAs, we say, hey, why don't you just become a manager and train people underneath you, right? So you have like, you have a career growth for them. They stick around, and at the same time, then now they're passing their knowledge on to a bunch of other people within our team, which is super helpful for us too, right?
I think the 0 to 1 thing is the complete game changer.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest value that y'all are bringing to across the board. Like, oh wow, that really resonated really well, actually. Like,
you can actually relate to it.
No, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
right?
And it's not like we've been like this is something which you've been taught to us in any of our B schools like that. This is what we've actually seen. And we've seen our customer actually struggling because we have also struggled the same way. and that's all, like we've been like we have other verticals where we do focus it, but you know, like we were actually looking out for a banking channel, and you know, when we grew that banking channel was not sufficient, we have to switch on banks and stuff. Then we've really found that, okay, this is a very interesting case study. We are in the same situation and we have to relate it to our customer. So that's how we've realized, until and unless it's not your pain, you won't really understand, like, you know, 100%. And you have to relate it all the way. So that's why we went on those Upwork and stuff like that. We also tried a lot of things like back 4 years before, and then we finally realized it's always best to have your own people actually working for them.
So I think the original question, though, we got a little sidetracked, but it was, how doing things for other people, right, and how that helps you grow better, right?
100%.
And so we've found that like every time we've done business with someone and we've really delivered and like gone above and beyond for them, they've helped us grow. They've come back, they've grown, they've helped us grow. They make introductions. I would say most of our customers come from referrals from ex-customers. We had a customer that basically. So I'll give you two examples, right? So one of our customers basically shut down this year.
Okay.
The company just kind of shut down. They ran out of funding. But the people that left the company, they went to other places and they started calling us and they're like, "Hey, dude, like you did an awesome job for us."
Yeah, cool.
So we love that. The second thing that we realized was our customers, when we meet them, they're like, "Hey, have you thought about working with that company?" I was like, "Oh, we haven't talked to them yet." We're like, "Oh, let me make an introduction for you," right? And so even in your case, we delivered for you. All of a sudden, we had a couple of people that were referred to us by you, right? That were like, "Hey, dude, these guys would be good." So. I mean, in the reseller world, I think you help other people, they'll eventually come back to you and help you grow as well. It's just a general sense for business. It just does good business for everyone.
I think that's interesting. The reseller world is really, really strange. Probably a bit different than the corporate world. Because in the corporate world, you have to find the key player that has the decision-making power. Right. But every reseller has a decision-making power, so they can always hire. Like the scale there is it's like I remember saying, like, if you want to get rich, sell to the masses, don't sell to the rich, right? Yeah. That's the concept, right? Yeah. If we can provide a great value for a 20,000 resellers, right? That somebody has one-time full person all day long that they can really grow their business, it becomes a massive, massive opportunity, and it helps out the reseller community. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there. Just because, again, we've only released it to 4 or 5 people. People are reaching out to us, and I'm like, do not reach out to us, guys. Like, do not reach out to us. We have someone to pick it up. But it's a good problem to have. But there's so many people that want this, and there's always questions being asked. I know Chris said it when he was talking about it. He said that people don't know what to do with a virtual assistant. Like, everybody's saying that they want one, but they have no idea, which you guys come in the great play.
Yeah, I mean, on that front, what's been great was working with people like you. Is we've started figuring out here's 50 things we can do. Here's the 2 to get you started and really get the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And so what we found is right now, I think it's cross-listing, and then also just on a basic level, finding what products you already buy and sell. Let us do that for you, and then from there finding new products, right? That's, I think, if you just start focusing on those 2 specific things, you can actually grow your business quite a bit, and then you can start doing all these other things that are required, right? I mean, it's like when you train for as an example of sports analogy, right? When let's say you're training for how to be a basketball player, right? The first thing you should start learning is how to dribble and shoot, right? All these other things of how to do different types of plays, whatnot, that comes down the road. And so what we find is a lot of people here don't even know how to dribble or shoot. They're just like I need a VA, right? Interesting.
Let's talk about growth and how can we help resellers grow just in general? If you say we need to dribble and shoot, what's the things that we can tell people is okay, focus on this, and this to really exponential growth.
So let me answer that. So first of all, there's a misconception about in terms of the pricing part of the VAs, because you have to hire that particular VA for a month's time or 3 months time. We at DataPure believes in the flexibility of that particular thing. Okay, if you want a 4-hour service on a daily basis, we are flexible in that particular thing. If you want a weekly contract, we are fine with that particular thing, because the other person has to understand the value basically, that what value actually we are bringing onto the table. Most of the time actually people get confused. Okay, getting with DataPure would be a year contract or would be a 6-month contract. Okay, I have to pay for say for example 360 hours or something like that. So we don't have any kind of packages there. It's all customized. So with this particular thing, actually they can always come and buy, they can always look at our services, and we can definitely help them grow. So there is nothing called as in terms of price dependency or fixed contract kind of thing. Yeah.
Very cool.
So I think from there, that's one side of it, right? Helping resellers grow, right? Don't bind them into a specific contract. Very flexible. Second is, I think just the core of this is I've after talking to so many people, it's just cross list a lot of your products. Cross list almost every single product. And the second thing to grow is basically what do you buy and sell today that you've actually made money on?
Yep.
Do that every single day.
Yep.
Right?
Sourcing. Yep.
Sourcing. And it's not just like, hey, let me just go source online for random stuff. It's like, what have I already done well? Let me just source that every single day. And then once you do that, every single day you source that, then you can start adding other things on there.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like if you're just like, hey, I'm gonna go find this product. Oh, tomorrow let me just go explore around something else.
Yep.
Then it becomes really hard to grow, right?
Yeah.
And reselling is a very cool business because you get to like Adi said, you get to shop.
Yep.
Right. The problem is when you shop, you're not able to scale it, right?
Yep.
And so what you have to do is you have to realize what you're really good at and really treat it like a business. And so I think for all like the resellers out there. The easiest thing is like, hey, let's find out what I'm really good at, and then like let's just do that again every day. And now, like, let's say this what you're good at is like this big. Once you do that every single day, you can make this bigger, right?
Yep.
And that's how you really scale this business, right? And so for us, what we found is like to summarize, it's for us, dribbling is like, hey, cross listing, and shooting is like sourcing. Right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, very cool. I like that. I like that. Like things, stay in that lane, right? As if you can stay in that lane. Let's say you are a reseller for cameras, right? Stay in that camera lane until you have enough knowledge and you build big enough business where you can kind of start getting another different lane and keep growing, right?
Exactly.
Stick and stream. I think that's the biggest thing for us. So just alone, and how we've really turned that corner from before we were doing many different things. Like we were selling like rare art, we were selling cars, like we were doing estates, we were doing downsizes, we were flipping on eBay. There was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And the pie, like what we were making wasn't even close to what we were doing when we streamlined one thing, right?
Right.
I think the mentality on a lot of resellers is I need to do everything,
Yeah.
and that everything is going to mean I'm not missing any opportunity, right? So I know for us is like I don't want to miss any opportunity, thus I want to do everything, and that really actually made us miss opportunity. It's like a contradiction, right?
Well, I think people don't realize that you only have a certain number of hours you can do this.
Yep.
And also you have a certain amount of money you can spend.
Yep.
Right? And then I think and then they don't like realize how much time and money they're putting into just finding everything. And they're chasing that incremental dollar every single time, right? So but if you become more strategic around it, you can actually scale your business in the long run, right? So in the startup world, what's interesting is most startups lose money for the longest time.
Yeah.
Because what they're really doing is they're trying to refine, figure out like what am I really good at. Once they figure that out, that's when they really scale and become good, right?
Yep.
And so resellers should be doing the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good analogy in terms of like the startup life is you are a startup when you're a reseller.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I know a lot of people thrift. The thrifting is the biggest one, which cross listing will definitely help get your audience out there across the board. Thrifting is a major one. Garage selling is a major one because those two things, especially if you are single, if you're a sole entrepreneur, the bang for your buck is there, right? But you can only go so far with that. Like I know for us, it would be very, very helpful if I was thinking this 2 years ago when I started this. It's if I had a VA and we only did one category of products. And they searched online because then I don't think my time going out and garage selling. Sure, garage sale for those big hits. So you can turn $1 into a couple $100, right? That's perfect. Get some startup cash. But if you really want to go from $10,000 a month or even $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 plus, you need to, like Sid said, just streamline the hell out of it.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that is like I was actually the other day at like a store and I saw this jacket there, right?
Yeah.
It was like $90, right? Then I went next door to Marshall's, same exact jacket, right? Like $30, right? And so, but like I did, so I bought the jacket and then they actually had Jordans there, which I didn't buy, but like the Jordans were like $30, and any pair of Jordans usually can sell for way more than $30, right?
100%.
And so like, but that kind of stuff is not there all the time. That's very hard to find, right?
Yep.
And I think when thrifting is great, like you said, but at the same time, you're not always going to be able to make money on it every single day. You want to figure out how to make money every single day, which is online reselling, buying online, sourcing online, and then reselling it online.
Yeah. And the one thing about like even using you guys just in general, because you guys are online, right?
Yeah.
That takes out the time. Like again, you hit on top of the head. Is time is your most valuable asset across the board.
Exactly.
If you want to scale, you gotta make is your biggest bang for your buck in that 8 hours you're working for, and that's sourcing online.
I mean, we do that in our business too, right? I mean, like we don't talk with every single customer.
Yeah.
Like if Adi and I start doing that, we'll never be able to scale our business, right?
Yeah.
And so for us to scale, what we figured out was like, hey, who are the right people to have in place that can do this and really interact with customers? So I think you've been working with Swastik, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so like he's been able to run this show for you. And what we're doing is Adi and I are basically a layer on top in case anything goes wrong. But at the end of the day, like that helps us grow our business when other people can handle what we've been doing typically in the past.
Definitely.
And that's always a feedback mechanism. I think again taking back to the example. So yesterday there was Abhi also on the call particular day.
Yep.
So that's like a feedback mechanism. He is the operations manager over there. So you always try to listen how the communication is going well between the Swastik. So there's always a feedback mechanism which is passed back on to that particular thing. And whenever there is training call, the training manager will be there.
Okay.
You won't see them often, but they are there so that they make sure that the training is well documented and we are not losing on any end.
Yep.
So these are the things I think we should not cut out this, because we should not be telling our business secret here.
Yeah.
But this is something like there's something. We try to see that what is the additional thing that we can bring on that value. So that we don't come back to you and say, oh, okay, what did you said last time? Okay, what was it on that particular call? So that way actually.
That's something that's really interesting. I know, like before when we did like Fiverr and OfferUp, we had one person, right? But y'all have multiple people for one person. It's a whole difference. Like you hit the top of the head.
Yeah, it's like the contingency plan which I was talking about. So it's not like Swastik would be available like 24/7, 365 days, right? He has got his own personal life. He wants to take some off. He wants to enjoy some vacations out there. But at the same time, it's a very classic example. Your vacation time is our working time, and our vacation time is your working time.
Yep.
So we take like a lot of people takes off during the Diwali. That was like October-November period, and in December, like where people are actually taking offs during that. So we are working there.
Yep.
So that's a good overlap here in terms of them. So when you talk about there are 3 to 4 people who are working on that, it's like we're actually trying to build in a replacement. So for probably Swastik may be actually busy with his vacation. So we always say that the work should not get hampered, right?
Wow.
And it should always be process dependent, never be person dependent.
Yeah.
So that's how you'll see that there are a lot of people. So the amount of actually what we're charging in terms of we're trying to bring in like more value. So you grow and along with like everybody grows.
Yeah.
I mean, the simple thing is like if you're like, hey, I need 10 more people, we want to have that stuff ready, right?
Yeah.
So we have all these like we have like this Swastik goes on vacation, gets sick, whatever. Like we have somebody to actually backfill them and just take over.
Yep.
And at the same time, we know people aren't perfect, so we want to make sure we have other people that's kind of keeping checks and balances. So on a day-to-day basis, Swastik will do all the work. On the training call, though, our managers will jump in, and then like at the end of the week, they'll review everything he's done, just to make sure, like double check, make sure everything's good, right?
Another interesting thing was that is, like you said, when we are not working, y'all are working. When y'all are not working, we're working. So it makes it so. Let's say we only have time's a finite thing, right? So if we're working 12 hours and y'all are working 12 hours, we can build our business roughly 2 times faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in theory, right? I mean, that's something that's very, very important. I know resellers out there, again, you only have so much time. Like, use people and even other time zones. That's another kicker, right?
Yeah.
The time zone's a different kicker. The hallways are a different kicker.
Yeah.
That 24-hour working experience, you can then beat your competitors by 2, almost relative, right?
Yeah.
Almost all the time. I think that's super interesting.
I mean, so typically what happens is like, let's say there's a bunch of stuff you do throughout the day, and then like you go to sleep, right? When you wake up, there's a whole new list of product for you. It's like, okay, let's go. Right? And so that works out well. We have offices that run like 3 shifts. We have a US based shift, which is US working hours.
Interesting.
Then we have a UK based shift, which is a European working hours.
Yep.
Then we have a India based shift, which is Indian working hours, right? So our customers tend to use all different types of shifts. Some resellers use all 3 shifts. Some use just the night shift, whatever. For us, it doesn't really matter. But the interesting part for the reseller is you can basically say, hey, at night, I'm going to go to sleep, and somebody's actually just getting stuff done for me. And then when I wake up in the morning, all I have to do is buy and sell, right?
Yep.
The other type of customer says, like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to, like, buy and resell. You guys do all the sourcing and everything. I'm just going to click a button, buy it, boom, done, right?
Yep.
So, it's the business of being lazy.
Yeah.
I'm lazy, other people are lazy. It's awesome, right? And so, isn't it? I think it's a lot of fun where you could go in and say, like, look, I don't have to do anything today. I'm just going to make money.
We're talking about 0 hours, right?
Yeah, 0. It's like a 4-hour work week, 0 hour work.
Other than that, Audi, Sud, thanks for coming into our first podcast, the LacROI podcast. Hell yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
I'm glad we partnered with DataPure for all of our virtual assistant needs. If y'all want some, we'll link in the description of the contact. There is a wait list right now because we have so many people on this wait list already. But give us a click the link below and like and subscribe. And thanks guys again. Awesome,
Cool.
awesome pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Cool.
Thank you.